time. Light the candle. Let's go. My watch is slow. Sorry, my watch is slow. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Wow, that got quiet soon. We can take out the test now, huh? It's, I guess, a year of COVID. I don't get the laughs anymore, or maybe the jokes were that bad.
You just don't hear me laughing.
Come on, guys, it's Shabbat. Loosen up. Just a reminder before we start the service that technically we are our slow open, but the prayer book for Friday night is Mishkan Tefillah virtual edition. So for everyone watching at home, you'll see the prayer book somewhere around Cantor Whitner's head. For those people in attendance, just sit back and enjoy. You can find some of the prayers, especially the Hebrew and Kaddish, but we just wanted to let you guys know that. Cantor.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. We start our service with Hinei Matov, how wonderful it is to be with all of you. Sing along. Hinei Matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. 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 How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. Hinei matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hinei matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Shalom aleichem, salam aleikum. Shalom aleichem, salam aleikum. Shalom aleichem, salam aleikum. Shalom aleichem, salam aleikum. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. Hinei matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hinei matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad.
Welcome Shabbat. Within these walls, we sit surrounded by numberless generations. Our ancestors built the synagogue as a visible sign of God's presence in their midst. Throughout our long history and our endless wandering, it has endured. It's a beacon of truth, love, justice for all humanity. Its presence guided our ancestors through lives of righteousness, holding up to them a vision of their truest selves. Now we, in our turn, come into this sanctuary to affirm the sacredness of our lives. May we enter this place, especially in peace. May holiness wrap around us as we cross its threshold. Weariness, doubt, the flaws within our human hearts, the harshness of the weak, let these drop away at the door. In the brightness of Shabbat, let peace settle upon us as we lift our hearts in prayer together. And it's our honor and pleasure to welcome the Maston family to the Bima as they light our Shabbat candles.
קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו להדליק נר של שבת.
For those who are able, we rise together for Kiddush.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushani b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'achava u'ratzon hilanu zikaron lama'aseh v'reishit Ki hu yom tehila lamikra'e kodesh zecher l'tziat mitzrayim ki vanu v'charta v'tanu kidashta mikol hamim v'shabbat kodsha ba'achava uvratzon hinhaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Amen. L'chaim.
There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure, but what we do not gain. On Shabbat, we seek not to acquire, but to share. There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted. On Shabbat, we stand and wonder before the mystery of creation, and there are days when we act as if we care nothing for the rights of others. On Shabbat, we remember that justice is our duty, a better world is our goal. So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace, and we continue with Psalm 95.
Lechu neran al Adonai nariya letzur yisheinu lechu neran al Adonai nariya letzur yisheinu nekat mafanav betoda bizmirot nariya lo ki el gadol Adonai umelech gadol al kol Elohim asher biyado mechkerei aretz metoafot harim lo asher lo hayam vehu asahu meyabeshet yadav yatsaru ki hu Eloheinu v'anachnu Amarito vetzoniado.
We greet our Shabbat bride with Lecha Dodi. Please sing along.
Lechandodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela lechandodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad hishmiyanu el hamiyuchad Adonai echad u'shemo echad l'shem ultiferet v'litila lechandodi likrat לקראת קהלה, בני שבת נקבלה, לחנוני לקראת קהלה, בני שבת נקבלה, לקראת שבת לכו בני אלחקים, מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נסוכה, בסוף מעשה במחשם בתחילה, לחנוני לקראת קהלה, בני שבת נקבלה, לחנוני לקראת קהלה, בני שבת נקבלה, התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי, 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 שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה, לחנוני לקראת קהלה, בני שבת נקבלה, לחנוני לקראת קהלה, בני שבת נקבלה.
Gather to greet Shabbat HaMelkah.
בואי ושלום עטרת מלכה, בשמחה ובצהלה, כוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה, לחנוני לקראת קהלה, בני שבת נקבלה, לחנוני לקראת קהלה, בני שבת נקבלה.
Teach me, O God, a blessing, a prayer, on the mystery of a withered leaf, on ripened fruits so fair, on the freedom to see, to sense, to breathe, to know, to hope, to despair. Teach my lips a blessing, a hymn of praise, as each morning and night you renew your days, lest my day be today as the one before, lest routine set my ways. We continue with our Chetzi Kaddish.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא תברח חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי כל בית ישראל. בגלה בגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך, לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה יתברך. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם, ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלל שמי דקודשה. בריחו לאלה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, תמירן בעלמה, ואמרו אמן.
We rise.
Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared?
There is one who sings the song of his own life, finding everything within himself. There is one who leaves the circle of herself and sings the song of her people. There is one whose voice rings with the song of humanity, hoping for the highest perfection. And there is one who rises even higher, united with all creatures, with all worlds, filling the universe with song. Nevarech, let us bless.
Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed, le'olam va'ed. Yadadai dai dai, 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 yadadai dai dai.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chochma pateach she'arim, uvit vuna mishaneh itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umsarder et hakokavim, b'mishmeretehem barakira kirtsono, b'rei yom v'layla, galel or mipnei choshev v'choshev mipnei or, uma'avir yom umevi layla, umavdil bein yom uvein layla, Adonai Tzvaot shemo. El hai v'kayam tamin yimloch alenu le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim.
Amen.
Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael, Amecha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu, b'shochbeinu uvkumeinu, nasiach bechukecha, benismach b'divrei Toratecha, ub'mitzvotecha leolam va'ed, ki hei mechayenu be'orech yameinu, ubahem nehegeh yomam v'layla. Be'ahavatcha al tasir mimenu le'olamim, Baruch ata Adonai, Ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai echad. Baruch Shem Kevod, Malechuto leolam va'ed.
Ve'afta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'chayu הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברתם בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ושכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. And finally, to remember just why all these things matter. They matter because I, Adonai Elohecha, brought you and your children out of Egypt to be God for you. I am your God, and when you do these things, I will be your children's God.
Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there's no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. Our song of redemption, our Michamocha.
Kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar ba'kodesh, mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar ba'kodesh. Nora tehilot osei pele, nora tehilot Osei pele Adonai imloch leolam vaed Malchutecha ra'u banecha bokei hayam libnei Moshe uMiriam Se'eli anu ve'amru Se'eli anu ve'amru Adonai imloch leolam vaed Yai da 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 da. Yai da 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 da. Yai da 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 da. Yai da 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 da.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. We continue with Hashkivenu.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom Ve'hamidenu shomreinu lechayim Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, Ve'hamidenu shomreinu Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Hashkivenu Adonai. עמיתנו שומרנו לחיים
We are in people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without moments gone by. The Exodus lasted a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time. We continue with Vishamru.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם לעולם כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש.
Prayer invites God's presence to suffuse our spirits, God's will to prevail in our lives. Prayer might not bring water to parched fields, nor mend a broken bridge, nor rebuild a ruined city, but prayer can water an arid soul, mend a broken heart, and rebuild a weakened will. We rise together for tefillah.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו אלוהי אברהם אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב אלוהי שרה אלוהי רבקה אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה האל הגדול הגיבור והנורא אל עליון גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני מחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם מכלכל חיים בחסד מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים סומך נופלים ורופא חולים ומתיר אסורים ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר מי כמוך פעל גבורות ומי דומה לך מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה ונאמן אתה להחיות מתים ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי המתים אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may the day fulfill its promise. We continue with Ritzeh.
Ritzeh Adonai Eloheinu be'amcha Yisrael u'tefilatam be'ahava tekabel u'tehil ratzon tamid avodat Yisrael Yisrael amecha El karov lechol kore'ah v'nei elavatecha v'choneinu shefocheru chacha aleinu v'techezena eineinu v'shuvcha letzion berachamim baruch atah Adonai המחזיר שכינתו
Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O thou eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul. May the love of thy name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Mitov be'einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם.
We'll take a few moments for silent prayer.
יהיו רצון אמרי פי, יהיו רצון אמרי פי, בהגיון ליבי לפניך, אדוני צורי וגואלי. Oh, may the words of my mouth, the meditation of my heart be acceptable before you, O God, my rock and my redeemer. Ose shalom bimromav, uya'aseh shalom aleinu, me'al kol Yisrael, be'imeru ve'imeru,
At this moment in our service, we take time to think of those in our community, those in need of healing in body and spirit. On this Shabbat, we take time to think of Rose Anderson, Linda Applebaum, Harriet Bagby, Cindy Bailey, Katie Bates, Harold Seitling, Deborah Chargois, Sunita Costa, Orit Cohen, Helene Davidson, Alan Ingle, Buster and Eileen Griffith, Hannah Lillian Fox, Elaine Gross, Josie Hatfeld, Bart Kolber, Wayne Lewis, Elizabeth Morgan, Jan Milet, Beth Scher, Chrissy St. Charles, Mitch Schneiderkraut, Elena Stern, Adam Terrell, John Olhar, Jesse Weisberg, Elisa Rosemore Whitehead, Maisie Wright and Teddy Wright, and Edgar Zimmerman. We continue with our Misha Berach.
Source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. שפרח אמותינו מקור הברכה לאבותינו. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. I know it's strange. I got to look there, there, and there, but you get my point. Here we are in Parshat Vayekel Pikudei, and this is a double portion that will speak primarily to the great honor to build the Mishkan, the tabernacle. And tomorrow, Isaac, you'll be here, and you'll speak more about this tomorrow. You're good to go. But this is the final chapters in the book of Exodus. And our discussion regarding the book of Exodus really focuses on a few things. Of course, it's redemption with the story of Moses and Passover. It's this idea that the Israelites, they have this new identity, and part of this new identity is about faith and believing in the oneness of God, followed by law, and then we conclude with the notion of the Mishkan, the tabernacle, God having a resting place for the people Israel. But for tonight, I'd like to focus on the Haftorah portion for this week. And it comes from the prophetic book of the first Kings, first chapter, Kings and 7, 1 Kings 7, which speaks to Solomon dedicating the construction of the first temple. And remember that the temple was actually King David, his father's dream to build. But because of specific character flaws, David wasn't permitted to build the temple because of his wrongdoings. I have focused on this Haftorah portion as it complements our Torah portion regarding God's abode. And I also focused on the criticism of Solomon and the fashion and how he built the temple. See, Solomon required something called corvée labor, forced labor to build the temple from the tribes coming from the north. Solomon came from the Davidic line in Judah, which was in the south, where the monarchy favored, and he didn't favor the northern tribes. This really upset them, and eventually they were tired of doing Solomon's forced work, and then they succeeded from the kingdom, which in effect created the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. In years past, my focus was on the physical building of the temple. How much do we actually need the tangibility to feel God's presence in our lives? Physical space doesn't matter because God's presence is everywhere. We, the Jewish people, especially in the year we live, we don't need the temple to feel God's unending and unconditional love. Well, this year, I think we are forced to look at the story differently. Though I still believe that we can feel God's presence everywhere, but I think this year's interpretation of this Haftarah requires us to look at the importance of space. And sometimes we need a good tochacha, and this is Hebrew for a rebuke. And sometimes rabbis require a tochacha too. And after all, we are human. I think Solomon's temple did matter. I just wished he constructed it a little bit more menschy. I think the Israelites needed to celebrate something of this achievement during their time. And for us, I think it's totally appropriate to celebrate the importance of physical space more than ever. A year ago, we shut our doors here. We shut the space for this temple family. And this week, our news stories have been filled with anniversaries regarding the shutdown and where we were a year ago. Some of our students were somewhat excited to have homeschool, but some of us had great anxieties regarding our businesses and how to pay our bills, our mortgages, and we couldn't even hug a family member. A year ago, I didn't think we would be in this long year. I actually thought it would end in August, and here I am saying this in front of 2 members of our task force. I didn't think virtual services would be that difficult. I think some enjoyed it, while many had a hard time. And like the temple or the Mishkan, we needed to be in this place. We needed to feel its history. Some of us wanted to try to count the amount of gold leaves in the ceiling. But we needed to feel God's presence more than ever. And we never wanted to take for granted the importance to fit and feel and be inside these pews. The lessons of this year are many. But for me, as we begin a new chapter, as we slowly open and a year passes, it's about making this place spiritually accessible and meaningful for all. In a way, I feel like it's Rosh Hashanah. We have a new start here. For most of you, this is the first time you're actually hearing our cantor sing in person. For some of you, this is the first time you actually get to hear Paul accompany us. For the first time in a year, you get to hug someone. You may get to sit in your seat, but you're back here. And I never want to take this ever again for granted. I like the virtual services, but I thank God it's coming to an end sooner than later. There was a recent article by a physician at UAB who is suggesting that Alabama will reach herd immunity by May. I'm not an infectious disease doctor, I just play one on television, but I pray that this is true. In traditional Judaism, there's this messianic belief that when the Moshiach comes back, this will bring back God's holy temple, the third temple. Reformed Jews, we kind of don't like the third temple because of the sacrificial issue. Rather, our messianic age, it's now. It's today. As we begin this new year with new memories here together, this is a year where we strive to be good mensches. We continue to embody kindness. We process slowly. We engage in empathy. And I promise, as your rabbi, as we come together, I will strive to embody all of these virtues. You matter so much to all of us. This year is now over, and you're back inside of our hearts and back inside of this place where all of you belong. Shabbat Shalom. We rise together for Elenu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, בגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים אביב ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
When cherished ties are broken, the chain of love is shattered. Only trust and the strength of faith can lighten the heaviness of the heart. At times, the pain of separation seems more than we can bear, but if we dwell too long on our loss, we embed our hearts and harm ourselves and those about us. The psalmist said in his affliction, he learned the law of God. And in truth, grief is a great teacher when it sends us back to serve the blessed, the living. We learn how to counsel and comfort those who, like ourselves, are with sorrow. We learn then to keep silent in their presence, and when a word will assure them of our love and concern. Thus, even when they are gone in our hearts, departed, for they are always with us, moving us to live as, in their higher moments, they themselves wish to live. We remember them now. They will always live in our hearts, and always they are embodying blessing to all of us. On this Shabbat, we recall the yahrzeits of Jack Joel Artmark, Jean Boehm, Ida Eisenberg Bornstein, Louis Bressler, Victor Cohen, Oscar Cohen, Arnold Cotton, Helen Ruth Damsker, William Epstein, Lena Feidelson, Celia Wasserman Gamberg, Dave Goldberg, Esther Robin Goldblatt, Albert Goldman, Minnie Goldner, Hyman Goldstein, Malvin Goldstein, Lillian Goldstein, Edward Goldstone, Robert Scott Gordon, Victor M. Hannon, Frumi Dorfman Harris, Joseph Hirsch, Minna S. Holzer, Dr. Edward Sidney Hyman, Sylvia Berger Callan, Doris Katner, Mary Karnofsky, Jacob Kaufman, Robert Kernan, Flora Klotman, Ida Leland, Harry Arlicht, Audrey Luger, Duke Marlowe, Barbara Werheimer Marks, Lee Randall McDonald, Lil Ostand, Alan H. Pines, Linda Gottlieb Pleiner, Annie Rips, Annie Rittenbaum, Rose Mayberger Rubin, Edward G. Rosenfeld, Ida Rosenthal, Rick Ruby, Irving Russell, Toby Safras, Edward Schoen, Bernice K. Scholwolf, Sidney Sigmund, Rose Simkin, Dave Solomon, Meyer Staff, Julia Stein, Berghard Steiner, Mimi Swid, Leo Wald, Marcus Wheel, Isidore T. Wheel, Sarah Weinstein, Annabelle L. Weinstein, and Leslie Hirsch Whiston, and our heartfelt condolences in the recent passing of Ruth Engel, Lee Lichter, Norman Morgan, Sarah Ann Polemus, Judith Ratner, and Max Steinmetz. We rise together as a united congregation for a mourner's Kaddish. Yikadal, Vikadash, Shemei Rabbah, Bioma Divrach Erote, Vamlich Machute, Vachayachon of Yomechon, Uv Kayet, the Colt Beit Yisrael, Bagala uizman kari v'yamru.
Amen.
Yehi shmei rabah mivarach li'olam alamei maya. Yit barach v'yish shabach v'hit ba'ar v'hit ramam v'hit naseh. Vita dar vita lev vita lal. Shmei dekudsha.
Barichu.
Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechamata. Damin ram bi'oma v'yamru.
Amen.
Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. V'yamru amen. O say shalom b'imromav. Huya say shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. V'yamru amen.
O say shalom b'imromav. Huya say shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael me'imeru. Amen.
Before we conclude with Adon Olam, just 3 housekeeping issues. Please join us this Sunday night at 6 o'clock, right? I hope so. Right, Monica, she left. For our memorial service, just to honor the past year of COVID. Second, when we conclude, after Isaac leads us in Hamotzi and he can bring his siblings up, what we're going to do is, I hope I get this right, I feel like we're boarding on Delta, okay? But with no status, okay? So the right bank is going to exit first through those doors. Is this right, David? Okay. Okay. Half go to this way, the other half go that way. What we're trying to prevent is a bottleneck, and it's written in the Talmud that Jews have a hard time not kibitzing with each other, so this is our main concern. And once this side goes, then this side will follow. And I hope that we all get this right, but I'm highly confident that we'll keep our kibitzing to a minimum, and then I could make our task force members really proud of us. Right, Julie? Right, David? Okay? And they'll grade me later. But let us conclude celebrating Shabbat with Adon Olam, and then we'll have Hamotzi.
Adon Olam asher
Come on, Eli. Come on, Rita.
בטרם כל יציר נברא, לעת נשא בחפצו כל, אזי מלך שמו נקרא, ואחרי ככלות הכל, לבדו ימלוך נורא, והוא היה והוא הווה, והוא יהיה בתפארה. ידה דה 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 ידה דה דה ידה דה דה ידה דה 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 ידה ידה דה 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 ידה דה 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 והוא אחד ואין שני להמשילו להחמירה בלי ראשית בלי תכלית ולא העוז והמשרה והוא אלים בחי גואלי בצור חבלי בעת צרה והוא ניסי ומנוס לי מנת כוסי ביום מקרא ידה דה 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 ידה ידה דה 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 ידה דה דה ידה דה דה ידה דה 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 ידה ידה דה 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 ידה דה 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 בידו אפקיד רוחי בעת ישן ועיירה ועם רוחי גביעתי אדוני לי ולא אירא ידה דה 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 ידה ידה דה 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 ידה דה דה ידה דה דה ידה דה 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 ידה ידה דה 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 ידה דה 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 Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'tei avon.
Shabbat shalom, everybody, and hopefully you remember how to exit. Okay. All right, you gotta tear and eat it. You gotta make the